Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Game and Gig podcast, we're giving our takes on the 2022 Game Award winners. Okay, Randy. The Game Awards happened.
The Game Awards did happen. Did you enjoy the Game Awards this year?
Yeah, I did. I did fall asleep towards the end, but that's because I had to get up really early in the mornings, and Game Awards went kind of late.
Well, they always do.
But I woke up having realized I fell asleep, and then I went back and checked what won. So, I saw most of it live, but I did miss one very important thing live that we'll get to.
Yeah.
But I've seen it about 1,000,000 times since,
So I did think the Game Awards were better this year than they were last year.
Me too.
I think that there were some better reveals. Mm-hmm. We're finally catching up, I think, on the, post-pandemic stuff.
Yeah.
We're starting to see the games come out.
Yeah.
Finally.
And there was actually people there, and I think that did kind of help.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it was just overall better.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and get it out of the way. Game of the year went to Elden Ring.
It did?
It did.
Oh.
See, I thought you saw that part.
I fell asleep.
Right. No, it went to Elden Ring, and we'll talk more about that in the second segment of the podcast today. But because because the poll's on that, and we'll save that. But
yes,
that happened.
Yes, that happened.
But there was some other, like the very first thing that happened was the Best Performance Award, and that went to Christopher Judge for Kratos in God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, and God of War Ragnarok took everything besides Game of the Year, and that's pretty much the podcast. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. And just kidding, psych. Christopher Judge won, and he gave like a 45-minute speech.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
That was hilarious.
You could tell that they didn't want to rush off the very first person to give a speech, but then every other person they were rushing off the stage because his went so long.
Yes, it went so long that we had 3 text exchanges during the speech.
Yeah.
And then when they started to play him off with the music, it was almost like he leaned into it. It's like the performer in him came out and he gave this more epic version of his speech.
Maybe the playoff music they used shouldn't have been so epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it probably should. It should have been comedic, end of Broadway, But
that being said,
give him the hook.
I do think he did a really great performance as Kratos.
Oh, clearly.
And I do think he deserved to win.
Yeah, definitely. That dude's the man.
It's funny because Kratos is he barely ever speaks at all. He's one-word sentences is Kratos' thing, right?
Yes.
But Christopher Judge is obviously not Kratos in real life.
No, but he did speak kind of slowly and deliberately. He wasn't necessarily wordy. He just went long.
Yeah. Kratos would have never done that.
No, he wouldn't have.
He would have had one word to say, and that would have been it.
This is for boy.
Yeah. Boy. So we also got the best ongoing game.
Yep.
I know we had a conversation about this because you felt very strongly that this should have gone to Fortnite.
Yeah, I don't see how it doesn't. I haven't played Final Fantasy 14, and I'm not gonna. But I don't see how anything could have better ongoing support than Fortnite. I just don't. It's got the constant crossovers that come from nowhere and everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's up. Literally, the item shop is updated daily. Mm-hmm. They're always balancing weapons. We've already got a balance patch this season. I mean, it is constant. A brand new map every chapter. Come on.
Yeah.
I need to see a list of what Final Fantasy 14 does.
Yeah. As I said the other day, we were talking about this, and I said, well, Final Fantasy 14 could be a really great game. We just haven't played it.
I'm sure it is. I just I spend too much time playing Fortnite.
I'm still confused at why Final Fantasy 15 is out. I mean, I don't know why people... See, I haven't played any of these games, so I'm really confused about that. If you know why Final Fantasy 14 is the game people play and not Final Fantasy 15, does Final Fantasy 15 not have the online multiplayer or what's up with that?
I just Googled why don't people play Final Fantasy 15.
Okay.
And thegamer.com has an article that's called Final Fantasy 15 is still a disappointment 5 years later.
So, okay.
I don't know. It just seems like it gets a lot of hate. We'll have to look into this later.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, I have hardly any experience with Final Fantasy. I've played the 7 remake, and that is literally it.
Yeah, and that's great.
So, yeah.
But it shouldn't have won Best Ongoing Game.
Well,
Final Fantasy 7 Remake, I mean.
Final Fantasy 14's been on for a long time, apparently, so maybe it is the best ongoing game.
Maybe so.
So next was Best Indie. Or actually, these aren't exactly in order, but
Yeah.
Best Indie. I know that you've played a lot of the indie games. I've only played Stray, and it won. And I did enjoy Stray, but I didn't love Stray.
Man, it won because it's the cat game. Man,
It
it's like
looked
it's
really
like the
good.
first like really cool cat game. People love cats. That's why it won, man. I voted for Cult of the Lamb, and that game slaps. I mean, it's like unique, you know. I mean, so is Stray, but I voted for Cult of the Lamb. Sifu, I also really liked, but it shouldn't have won. And Neon White, I have, and I played like the tutorial to it, but I haven't got any further. And
It looks
seems
interesting.
Cool. Yeah, it seems cool. I haven't played Tunic or Stray.
Stray also won Best Debut Indie as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of took both. It's interesting that was like their first game, and it won debut and Best Indie. So
Yeah, I voted for Vampire Survivors for Best Debut Indie. And it seems like everybody who touches that game gets addicted to it.
and now that was an announcement is that there is a mobile version of Vampire Survivors out.
Yes, and I downloaded it immediately.
Yeah.
As soon as they announced it, I went and downloaded it. And it's great.
Does the mobile version hold up?
It's just Vampire Survivors.
I noticed it's in like the different.
Yes, it's in
What is that? Portrait mode.
portrait mode. Yeah, and it's touch like it doesn't seem to have controller support. So like it doesn't seem like I can plug it into my backbone and use a joystick, which is a little bit of a bummer. But it plays fine with the touch because all you do is move. That's the
Right.
only mechanic in the game.
But
so
I've
it works fine.
kind of thought you won't be able to see as much in this,
Yeah, I mean,
but it still works, I guess.
yeah.
I don't know. I haven't played the
You're
game.
right.
So,
I mean, all those criticisms are correct.
all right. Speaking of mobile, best mobile game went to Marvel Snap, which I know you were very happy about.
Yeah, that game is awesome. I've played Apex Legends Mobile, and it's just Apex Legends on a phone, and that's awesome. You know, it's not my game, but that's cool. I played a little Diablo Immortal and don't care about it at all because it's completely pay to win, like the biggest offender ever. Genshin Impact I've played a little bit of, and it seems freaking amazing, but it's probably won this award like a million times by now. And I haven't played Tower of Fantasy, but Marvel Snap is amazing.
And that's like pretty much a brand new game.
Yeah,
it just came out not that long ago.
It's like a month and a half old. They just entered their second season.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool that a new game wins immediately.
It's really good.
I wanted to bring up best VR game because Moss Book 2 won, and I was really happy about that because I recently played Moss Book 2 and loved it. Thought it was a really, really great game. And I hadn't really played any of the other games besides After the Fall. I did play After the Fall, and I didn't really like it. And I know that there aren't a whole lot of VR games that come out, so this category is going to be kind of limited just because of the nature of the beast.
Right.
But I did think that Moss
Beast.
Book 2 was really, really good, so I was happy to see that one win.
Yeah, I mean, you've played Among Us, just not Among Us VR.
Right. Actually, I think Among Us would work in VR. I
do
think that'd
too.
be cool. I think
do
that'd be
too.
cool.
I'd play Among Us VR.
Yeah.
I'd probably get sick, but I'd play it.
So, moving on, Nintendo didn't have a whole lot of presence in terms of any announcements or anything, but they did win a lot of stuff. I thought it was a really good night for Nintendo
Yeah.
and the Switch in general because they took 4 big categories.
Yeah, they
won.
did. Yeah, best action game went to Bayonetta 3. And I don't know what I thought was going to win. I would have probably picked Bayonetta 3. I mean, Shredder's Revenge had some hype behind it.
I really want to play that game.
Shredder's Revenge?
Yeah.
Well, I'd play it, but I would only play it if you were going to play it with me.
Yeah.
Because I've realized that beat 'em ups
Yeah.
just aren't my thing unless I'm playing them with people.
Yeah.
But anyway, I bet that's good, but I wasn't really surprised about Bayonetta.
Bayonetta 3 was good. It was a really good game. I was really hoping that it would be even better than the last 2 Bayonetta games, and it wasn't, but it was still really good.
So I wanted to ask you about this because you played Bayonetta 3 and I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's a lot of hate circulating on the internet for how old the Switch is at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with it. It's time for something new.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
we're 5 years out now.
I think all this Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has rekindled this. all the crap, with that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard somebody on YouTube the other day just flippantly say that they heard Bayonetta 3 was a pile of trash on the Switch and that it ran poorly. I hadn't heard that.
No, I mean, like, what are there issues that pop up from time to time? Maybe, but I mean, like,
How's the frame rate?
I didn't have an issue with it. I mean, the frame rate didn't seem to bother me. I would say the thing that I noticed the most is that, like, I think environments would have looked better on something else. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, they still looked good, in my opinion. They didn't look amazing. It didn't blow me away.
Yeah.
It didn't look like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So, right. I mean, it looked better than that.
I think people are just throwing stones.
No, I mean, Bayonetta 3 was a good game. And it could it have looked better? Maybe. I mean, but I think they made it look pretty good for what it is. I think that people are just, Bayonetta started off on Xbox and, PlayStations or whatever. It was on other consoles. Mm-hmm. And now that it's not, people are just, like, still mad about it. Because they know that, like, Bayonetta is a Nintendo thing now, and it's never going to not be on just Nintendo.
Right. Well, moving on to the other Nintendo category, Best Family Game.
Yep.
That went to Kirby and the Forgotten Land,
which
I was fine with. I love that game.
Yeah.
I can't see my family playing it.
Me and Catherine played that in co-op and loved it. So, I mean, like, it'd be a great game to play with, if you're a kid with your brother and sister, or your mom and dad could play with you. I do think it would be a great family game. And I do think it is.
Yeah. Well, it's a great game. So,
yeah.
I was cool with that.
I thought that Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, gosh, too many S's. I thought that was going to win. I actually bought that game, and it's at my house. We're going to play it soon. But,
nice. What'd you buy it on?
Xbox. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I thought that it would win, but I'm happy that Kirby and the Forgotten Land won. It's the game I voted for.
Yeah. I voted for Lego Star Wars because I just thought it made the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that before.
Yeah.
Also, Nintendo stuff. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which is technically a Ubisoft game, but really, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's only
Mario on the cover.
It's only on the Switch, and it's got Mario. Won Best Sim / Strategy Game. Mm-hmm. And I loved Mario plus Rabbids. That is a franchise that I really hope continues, and I suspect will continue.
Yeah.
Because it's got its kind of thing, It's unique in the Nintendo catalog. Mm-hmm. It's the only, I guess they do have other strategy games. I guess they have Fire Emblem and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Fire Emblem.
But it's a different type of strategy game than Fire Emblem.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say it's not a sim game, but neither is Mario Rabbids, so.
No, I mean, and it's a different type of strategy game.
Mm-hmm. I think if Fire Emblem was out this year, it would be in this category.
I'm sure it would, yeah. But it's not. So Mario plus Rabbids won. I was happy about that. Also, Nintendo Splatoon 3 won Best Multiplayer. So these are huge categories, and Nintendo took a bunch of them. Mm-hmm.
I was happy about that.
Splatoon 3?
Yeah. I still want to play that game. So
yeah, I only played the single player. I did play some of the online multiplayer. I spent a couple days doing it, but for me, it was just a fun game. No matter you're playing the single player or the multiplayer online, it was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to play it. Mainly the online is what I'm interested in. But
also another Nintendo, Tears of the Kingdom, Legend of Zelda, won most anticipated.
Yep.
So I feel like Nintendo really took home a ton of different stuff with a bunch of different games. It wasn't like they just had, like, say, the God of War thing, which also won a bunch of categories.
Yeah.
But it was just one big game.
Right.
Nintendo won a bunch of different categories, all with different games.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. I know we talked a lot about what we thought would win most anticipated, and
I kind of thought it was going to be Hogwarts Legacy, but you thought it was going to be Tears of the Kingdom, and you were right.
Yeah. Harry Potter video games can't touch Zelda.
Well, I know that I'm hyped for. Let me check. Okay, Final Fantasy 16. Am I hyped about that? No. Will I play it? I think I actually will play it because I'm interested to get into it. But I'm kind of on the fence about that. Starfield, I also will play, but I'm not super hyped about.
Yeah.
I just don't have any faith in Bethesda. I don't know.
No, I don't either.
But Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4, and Tears of the Kingdom, I'm super hyped about all three of those, for sure.
Me too. I did feel like this category did snub a game that I'm looking forward to quite a bit, though. And that would be the sequel to Ghost Rider for PS2.
Unannounced.
Yeah, it's unannounced. Well, actually, we're might as well pop up the world premiere thing that you saw a million times at the Game Award right now, because it's being premiered right now. Ghost Rider 2 for PS2 is coming out soon. Don't miss it. and look for Nick Cage next year to take best performance. Not a sponsor.
Would it be hilarious? What if there is a Ghost Rider 2 and we just don't know about it? What if the game exists?
Well, I hope not. I'd look like a real dummy.
Oh, no. Not you.
Yeah, I would.
That would be a first for you.
I know.
I don't think. No way that game got a sequel.
No sequel.
Way it got a sequel. All right, let's turn our thoughts now to Game of the Year. The big one. We've been saving this one. So Elden Ring, we know Elden Ring won.
Yep.
And the question is, did Elden Ring deserve to win Game of the Year?
Mm-hmm.
So we did a poll on this. Did Elden Ring deserve to win? And the results were
at 57%, with a resounding yes at 26%, with a very non-resounding I'm neutral at 12%, with a fairly emphatic no, and at 5%, people ask the question, what is Game of the Year?
Right. So I'm actually a little bit surprised by this because I wouldn't have expected half of the people to say that Elden Ring deserved to win Game of the Year, because I don't think that half the people who played Elden Ring loved it. I think that, well, it's probably about half and half.
I think you're letting your bias get to you.
How many, have you gone and read reviews?
Dude, Elden Ring was huge.
I know it was huge, but I think that Elden Ring was a very divisive game. You either loved it or you didn't like it, and I don't think there was a whole lot of in between.
Maybe not. I think I kind of fall in between, to be honest with you. I can tell it's not really the game for me, but I could see that it was really
well
cool.
done. Yeah,
I could see that it was a great game, but
and fair enough. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of people like you though. I think that most people
that's been determined.
I think that when you play Elden Ring, I think you either really fall in love with it or you're like, it's just not for me. Mm-hmm. At least that's what I've seen reading reviews, reading comments on videos about Elden Ring. It just seems like it was very, very divisive. Do I think it deserved to win Game of the Year? I would say that, yes, it was super divisive, but the people who loved it so much that did it deserve to win? I'd say, yeah, probably.
Yeah, and they loved it for good reasons. Like,
right.
They took a really established genre, being the Soulsborne, that people loved, and they brought it into an open world, and they did it really, really, really well.
Right.
I mean, that's Game of the Year material.
I was just expecting more than 12% of people to say no. I expected it to be more like maybe 20 to 25% of people saying no, that it didn't deserve to win.
Yeah, because essentially, only about 17% of these votes are negative towards the game.
Right. I mean, I think the feeling neutral about it, I guess, I think, did it deserve to win? I mean, yeah, I could totally see it. But in terms of my feelings on it winning, I'm kind of neutral on it winning. I personally thought God of War Ragnarok should have won. But I get why Elden Ring would win.
I also hoped God of War would win.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it would at the end of the day.
I feel like God of War Ragnarok is less of a divisive game. I feel like the people who play it generally enjoy
it's way more mainstream.
Yeah.
For sure. But, I'm not going to give any spoilers. And I don't even know that I've talked about this with you. But I feel like the strongest thing God of War has going for it is the story. That's its thing. It's a great narrative. And it's got amazing gameplay. That's not what I'm saying. But it's a story game, right?
It is.
And I felt like the last part of the story was a little rushed. I felt like they really didn't stick the landing quite as much as I wanted them to. I'm not saying it was a bad ending. I loved it. But to be as vague as possible, I just don't. I just think they had a lot of threads out in in the Bifrost.
Maybe they should have done 3 games.
Maybe they should have done 3 games instead of 2. Yeah.
I think they originally intended to do 3 games.
Yeah, because they were. Once you got into the third act of the game, it was I can't give specifics, but
it was quick.
It was really quick, and the best thing about Elden Ring is that it has this enormous world full of crap you can collect, with enemies that are hard, that crazy bosses that you can kill, and in that way it stuck its landing. So I feel like Elden Ring did what it was set out to do slightly better than God of War Ragnarok. That's my take on it, and that's from somebody who wished God of War won.
Fair enough.
And I'm not always able to to take my personal bias out of things. So that's the best I can do.
Yeah. So this reminds me, we got comments, and the first comment kind of speaks to a little bit to what you're saying there. It's from Larry House, and he said, I wanted Ragnarok to win, and for me, it's the more polished game overall, which I think everyone could agree on that it was more polished in terms of presentation.
Yeah,
for sure. The narrative, emotion, character arc, story overall, optional in-game content, you'd be hard-pressed to find a book that delivers characters and relationships that well, and God of War handled it flawlessly on top of flawless gameplay at launch. Elden Ring suffered from issues at launch and at times felt a bit repetitive, but really succeeded in its open-world design, enemy varieties, and character customization with different builds.
Oh, yeah.
However, I am not sad. I'm just the gamer, and all I see is that we got to experience these two exceptionally great masterpieces within the same year.
Agreed. I agree with you, Larry.
Yeah, I think that's very well put.
Yeah, I do too.
You know, they're very different games. And
yes.
Yeah. But that wasn't the only thing Larry said. Larry had another comment that
No, Larry wasn't done.
No.
Larry went on to say the real crime is Multiverses winning Best Fighter and Stray winning Best Indie. Both of these should have easily went to Sifu. Okay. We've talked about this.
We have talked about this.
First of all, I hate Multiverses. I think it sucks.
I didn't play it, but it didn't look good to me.
I am a Smash fanatic. And Smash has spent a long time, most of our life, refining what it does. And it's polished at this point. It's got a huge roster of people, and it's amazing. Multiverses just came out of nowhere with just the most ridiculous roster you've ever seen. And it's not polished. It's not balanced. And it's not worth your time.
At least it wasn't at launch. I mean, you haven't played it since launch.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe they fixed everything. But
I know, I'm sure it probably hasn't.
I just think the gameplay is not tight. That's what I really didn't like about it.
Yeah.
The gameplay is not as tight.
And if you're going to make a clone, it needs to be a damn good clone.
It needs to be a damn good clone. And I think the only clone of Smash that I really ever felt like might be worth my time is Brawlhalla.
Which people seem to love.
Yeah. Brawlhalla looks pretty fun. That being said, I love Sifu, but I don't think it's a fighter. We talked about this yesterday.
We did. We talked about, I was like, because I kind of said to you, I was surprised that Sifu didn't win Best Fighter and Best Fighting Game. And you said, well, it's not a traditional fighting game.
Yeah. It's just a game where you fight.
Yeah. It's more of like, I guess, like an action game. Mm-hmm. I mean, like in a similar sort of sense, you can't really say like God of War is a fighting game.
Exactly.
Even though you fight a lot in God of War. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's the only difference is that Sifu like really leans into the fact that you're this kung fu master.
Right. And it's like a more like, I guess, more in the style of what you'd expect with fighting games, but it's not a fighting
There's
game.
combos and things like that, but yeah, I just don't think Sifu fits the category. And Stray, I also agree. I think Cult of the Lamb should have took Best Indie, but
and Sifu could have probably easily have taken Best Indie as well, right? So I mean,
yeah, maybe.
But Stray was just like, it had a lot of hype. Stray looked really, really good, and I do think that in a lot of ways it had its gimmick and it did its gimmick well.
Yeah.
That being said, I thought that overall it was a good game, but not a great game, and that's said it a million times. But
yeah, Sifu I thought was really fun, and also maybe not a 10 out of 10, but I had a lot of fun with it. Had some really unique mechanics. It was deep. I agree, kind of, Larry.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you also hate Multiverses. That makes me happy.
Yeah. So moving back to should Elden Ring have won Game of the Year? Did it deserve? C. Rumble said it so deserved it. I'm a God of War fan, but was cheering for Elden Ring to win it. So there you go. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I get it, Crumble. All right, the Old Spice guy is back. And the Old Spice guy says, picking the one that's more of a game and not an interactive movie. Good on them. He's just trying.
That's a hot take right there.
I'm way too zen for you, Old Spice guy.
No, but that is something that I remember when in God of War 2018, was it 2018? Yeah. I remember when that came out. I remember people saying that. I remember that being common criticism of the game was that it was more like an interactive movie in a lot of ways than a game. I think that is overblown.
It's just because it uses quick time events.
It uses quick time events and it has a lot of cutscenes. But it does have gameplay.
And it's really good.
It's really fun gameplay too.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that for some people, they get tired of all the QuickTime events and cutscenes. That being said, God of War Ragnarok didn't use as many QuickTime events as
No, it
God of War
didn't.
2018 did.
No, it didn't. And, I will say that if somebody's like a huge Elden Ring fan and their criticism on God of War is that it's an interactive movie, well, you got to realize you're playing Elden Ring, which gives you no story unless you dig for it.
Yeah.
There's no, like,
You really
get
have to
like
dig
no
for it, too.
lore from Elden Ring without digging deep.
Yeah. You have to like purposely go out looking for it. Otherwise, you're just going to be really confused. I know I was when I, like, in the hours I played it.
Oh, yeah.
I found some things, but it was like, I feel like I was trying to piece it together. Like, I feel like if I really wanted to get this lore, I was going to have to like write stuff down.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
You have your notes.
right. Seriously. So then Nahomi
Nah, homie.
says, of course, it has 10 times the replayability compared to God of War or other games on there.
I don't know.
Replay
I'd
is
like to
one
see
of
your
those.
stats. I'd like to see your research on that.
Yeah, replay is one of those things that like some people really heavily value. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure that I do value replay as much.
I don't for like a big one-player game.
No,
Now, but I can see why Elden Ring would have a lot because just like how I used to replay Skyrim, I would build a different kind of character.
right.
I can see why that has replayability. For me, replayability is like short gameplay loop. Like you jump in Fortnite, you lose, you get back in. Smash, just play match after match.
We've had this conversation before, and I think there are like different types of replay. Like ongoing games, I feel like are almost need to be separate in the conversation about replay.
Yeah.
Because they're intended that like that's how they're built is to be
Right.
continuously played in an ongoing way. But games that have like replay, I think of people who are like say like I think of Red Dead Redemption, the first one. I've replayed that game probably 3 or 4 times, and I don't think it's a traditional like it's not meant to be replayed. It's meant to be a single experience. But for me, it has a lot of replay value.
Yeah, we have had talked about this before. Apparently, we got nowhere because I still think about it the same way I did.
But
But
I
I
mean,
completely agree. Like I see where you're coming from. Like for like a one-player game perspective, it's a different kind of replay than jumping into Fortnite, dying, and jumping back in.
right.
That's different.
And I think of games that like some of my favorite single player games have things that wouldn't be as good on the second replay, but that doesn't mean they're not amazing games because you can't get that same experience that you had the first time you played it. Mm-hmm. And I think that God of War is probably one of those instances where it's just not going to be as good the second time you play it
No,
because
How
it
could
won't be.
because you know the story.
You know how it's going to go, right?
All right, moving on. We got Yasso Boy.
Thank you for commenting again.
Yeah, Yasso Boy said it did, but I'm starting to think it's more of a popularity contest now. Oh yeah, of course it is.
I mean, yeah.
I'm a little cynical about the Game Awards in general because of that.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're giving out awards or something, it's going to be it's by
Definitely.
nature a popularity contest. Like,
Yes.
If the game wasn't popular at all, and like, even if no one likes or no one plays it, then it's not going to win.
That's right.
It doesn't matter how amazing it is. It's got to be a popularity contest. It's kind of I mean, it's
That's
one
what
of those,
brings you to the dance.
Right.
Being popular.
Yeah, it's definitely a double-edged blade in a way.
It's a double-edged blade of chaos.
Yeah. So Night Owl Games said, a bad year for games. Someone has to win it.
What? Who's spat in your Cheerios, bro? What are you talking about? Bad year for games. Like, Elden Ring is huge. God of War came out. What the hell's wrong with you?
I don't know, man. I kind of, in a way, I can see where they're coming from. Because I think that until God of War, for me, this year, we just didn't have a 10 out of 10 game. Elden Ring didn't speak to me the way it spoke to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So for me, like, until God of War came around, we just didn't have that, like, massive game for me.
Yeah.
And
Well,
if God of War wasn't that game for you, then you wouldn't have got any game.
that's true. I mean, I do still have Last of Us Part 1 sitting, waiting on me.
Yeah, but that wasn't a game that came out this year. That's a remake.
Yeah, but it's a remake that came out this year. I mean, Final Fantasy VII was a remake, but
Yeah, but that was, like, way different in terms of...
I'm just saying. I don't know. That's a thin line, man. But
And Final Fantasy VII Remake didn't come out this year.
I know that. I'm just using it as
Okay.
an example. I know, Randy. I know how calendars work. Okay. We also got Forbidden West. I didn't play it. It wasn't my thing, but
And it was a great game, but it wasn't a 10 out of 10 game.
No, it wasn't. We also got Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So
Okay.
if that's what your year was hinging on, then I'm sorry that I get where you're coming from.
No, I mean, I do think that
Smash still exists.
I know you're just trying to stir the pot.
I'm just being facetious. I get where you're coming from, Not Owl, but we did get God of War, so just be happy.
Yeah, but like the thing is, if God of War wasn't your thing and Elden Ring wasn't your thing, those were the two huge games.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think
I'm sorry, Not Owl. I take it back.
Even like Forbidden West,
You be sad.
which was a game that I really enjoyed and look forward to. It was a good game, but it wasn't 10 out of 10. And I think that, for me, I think that every year pretty much we usually get one of those like huge 10 out of 10 games. And it happened, but it took until the very end of the year for it to happen for me.
True. That is true. And there's one thing we've ignored this whole time. And I think it's what everybody came to our video for.
Okay.
And that is for us to talk about our esteemed Orthodox. What is it? What? Dang it!
You're
What is it?
You're talking about the
boy
who came up during the Elden Ring.
I want to nominate this award to my favorite Eastern Orthodox rabbi, Reformed Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, that was it. That's what he said.
I'm telling you what. If you hadn't seen that video, that's the Game Awards right there. You get on YouTube, you look up Bill Clinton Rabbi. I guarantee you it comes up. Maybe put Game Awards in there. Done. But we got to talk about this, man.
Okay.
So I watched some breakdowns on this. Have you gone into it at all?
I know. I read an article that this kid, this is not his first. He's kind of made a name for himself playing pranks, and he's been on InfoWars and I don't.
Yeah. So people aren't exactly sure if it's the same kid.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, people think that might be the same kid. But I mean, let's think about what he did here. Okay, they announced, boom, Elden Ring wins. These 4 grown Japanese gentlemen rise from their seats and begin to walk towards the stage. They're walking down the aisle, right? And as they cross this one little sub-aisle, this kid, you can see him in the camera, he's just walking out. He just walks and joins them. He doesn't even come from the same place, right?
Right, he just joins them.
And he walks up with him, he pats him on the shoulder. He's rubbing shoulders with him. You can see him when they're up on stage giving their speeches. He's looking at the monitor, and he moves to make sure he's in the shot. This is no amateur.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. He lets everybody do their speech. He claps. Very polite young man, right? And they start to play him off, and he jumps up there, and he takes his moment. And he just grabs the mic. He says, "My turn." And he delivers this speech about Bill Clinton. It's a thing of beauty.
Oh,
it made the night.
It was weird.
Super weird.
It was weird and unexpected, and I don't know what the point of it was.
I think he's just a mega troll, and
just
he won.
A troll.
He
just
won.
A troll.
Nobody. I don't know how you could troll bigger. Troll a video game anyway, any bigger. But honestly, jokes aside, that says a lot of bad stuff about the Game Awards
in terms of their security and how they do things. Because apparently anybody can just walk on stage at any time.
Yeah, and what if the kid wanted to hurt somebody? It could have gone a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
It could have gone a whole heck of a lot worse.
Thank goodness he was just wanting to troll. You know?
And then Jeff Keighley walks up and he's like, "Okay, y'all be safe getting home."
And he kind of ruined the moment for them.
Yes.
That was their moment. He's like, "Oh, let me just steal the show here."
Yeah, Miyazaki from the Elden Ring crew did tweet that he ruined their moment.
And he definitely did.
He stole it.
Yeah, he stole it. Yeah, for sure. Sure.
That'll teach you, next time give a better speech.
Next year at the Game Awards, security is going to be tighter. I bet you they're going to have a list of who's going to go on stage, and they're going to make sure they know who's going.
How did they not have that? How do they not know this? I mean, come on. It wasn't exactly a quick process.
No.
The kid was standing up there for a couple minutes while these people gave their speeches.
I don't know.
Clearly not a grown Japanese gentleman.
No.
Just saying.
No.
And how did none of them, how do they not look confused? I guess they just think maybe he's somehow part of the production. I don't know. It's not really their fault. It's Game Awards and that crazy troll kid's fault. But yeah.
Absolutely.
And other than that, the only other thing that really stuck with me from the Game Awards was, we did get Hades 2 reveal.
Yep.
So that's
Hades 2.
really big. And Al Pacino needs glasses.
Al Pacino does need glasses badly. Mm-hmm. That was not a great way to start the Game Awards.
No.
Having him come out and just make a fool of himself, really.
He announced Christopher Judge for best performance by saying, Christopher Judge, God of War, Ragnarok. He called it Ragnarok. And I haven't seen anybody else mention this. But he called it Ragnarok, plain as day. And he legit couldn't read the teleprompter. He joked about it. He legit could not do it.
No, and you could tell they probably had blown up the teleprompter so it only had like one word at a time, and it was like barely scrolling.
Yeah.
Oh, no. So,
anyway.
Yeah. In terms of reveals, I really thought there were going to be some really cool reveals. Nothing was great for me personally. I was wanting to see some other stuff that just wasn't there.
Yeah. Well, I think you expressed to me that you were hoping we'd get like some Nintendo reveals, and
yeah,
I just don't think we'll get that at the Game Awards.
Nintendo,
they got their own directs.
Nintendo showed up to collect their awards, and then that's all that's all they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Hades 2 is huge. That is a huge announcement for me anyway, and anybody who likes indie games. But yeah, could have been better, but heck, it could have been a lot worse.
So I'm sure there were some reveals that people liked, but
Jedi Survivor, we got to see some gameplay for that.
Yeah, but we already knew about it. So
I mean, it wasn't an announcement necessarily,
right, yeah.
But it was the first gameplay reveal.
And that would have been a game that if it had been the announcement, I would have been excited to see.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, okay, moving on to the last segment of the podcast here, games of the week. We actually have a game in common this week. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But we've both been playing the same game this week, and that is Evil West.
Yeah. So I was playing it this morning, and so were you.
Yes, we were playing at the same time.
I don't know how far into the game you are. You're further than me. You started before me.
I am. There are 16 chapters in the game, and I think I'm on chapter 12 or 13 now.
I don't know what chapter I'm on. I haven't checked because you're right. The game really doesn't make a big deal of saying like, okay, you're in this chapter now.
No, it just had it's like during some of the, I guess, loading screens, it'll pop up and tell you that you're like, it'll come up and say in the name, and you're starting a new chapter.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll have to figure out if I can check that,
and you have to have looked up a list of the chapters to know which one you're on.
Right. But I'm really liking that game. We have had some conversations that are potentially a little comical, and we'll maybe save that. But
no, I mean,
unless you want to go into it.
I mean, we can go into it a little bit, but I will say, first of all, I think the Evil West is very fun.
Me too.
I think it is really, really fun. And I'm surprised at how good it is.
I remember when it got announced, and I remember thinking that it looked really fun. And it is. It delivers on exactly what I thought it was going to be, and more. Because as I've played through the game, I have realized that it is God of War. I've even began calling it God of West. Ragnarok. God of West Ragnarok. I mean, these aren't really spoilers, so I'll just mention a few things that I've noticed. The first thing I noticed is very early in the game, you climb a chain. Which, okay, cool. Games can make you climb chains. Like, that's not the thing. But what made me think of God of War is that he climbs it like Kratos without using his legs. He just powers himself up, all upper body strength, and I was like, dang, Jesse, you're strong. And you're Kratos. So I just kind of had that filed away. And then I kept playing through the game, and I came upon this big chest, right? And big chest, long chest. Mm-hmm. Okay, now if you remember, God of War has two types of chests. Long ones and small ones.
Mm-hmm.
And when Kratos opens a long one, there's actually a couple types of long ones, honestly, in God of War. But one of the ways he opens them is he grabs it and he lifts, struggles, and then boom, top flies open, right? That's what happens in God of West Ragnarok. Then I kept playing and I was like, okay, fair enough. I came upon a small chest. And as I approached this small chest, I thought to myself, if he punches through the top of this thing, I don't know what I'll do. So I walked up to it and I pressed X. And he punched through the top of that thing like Kratos, like the God of War himself. Mm-hmm. And I called Randy immediately on the phone and just kind of aired what I'd been feeling. Mm-hmm. And it's only increased. there's even a Sindri / Brock stand-in character, Randy, who has this like mysterious teleport mechanic, just like the freaking dwarves. They joke about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's obviously Evil West was very, very heavily inspired by God of War.
Yes.
I mean, like, it's obvious. That being said, it doesn't, like we talked about earlier, we talked about multiverses, and we said if you're going to make a clone, it better be a damn good clone.
Yeah.
Okay, Evil West is a damn good clone.
It is. It is a damn good clone.
And I would even say it like takes the ideas from God of War and it goes further in some elements, specifically the combat. It's more combat focused, less story focused. And because it's more combat focused, there's more things. Like the combat is more advanced and more involved.
That is true. There's a lot of similarities even in the combat. You just reminded me of one more thing.
Yeah.
So if you think back to God of War 2018, I don't remember the exact circumstances. I think it might have happened in the Baldur fight at the beginning, actually. But basically, when the odds are stacked against Kratos, he taps into his raisin, so to speak, and uses Spartan Rage. Now, you activate Spartan Rage by clicking both sticks. Just hang on to that. And you just beat the crap out of people, for a limited amount of time. And you build up the meter to, again, activate Spartan Rage by doing a couple things. One of those things is finishing off enemies with like the special signature finishes. They call them stun grabs. And by using your fists. Okay? Those are the main ways you do it. Evil West, I'm playing through. Crap ton of vampires coming at me, right? People are in a bad way. They look to me for answers. I don't know what to do. Cutscene happens. My hand starts to glow. And I get supercharged. And I have this little meter that's going down. And I'm just pressing punch. And I'm just annihilating all these people. And then come to find out, you activate it by clicking in both sticks. And you can build up your meter to do it again by doing what, Randy?
Melee.
And finishers.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same. It's exactly the same. There's so much that's the same.
It is so funny.
But
it's great.
But Evil West is very polished. The combat is very fun and very fluid. And I think that if you're looking for a game that is similar to God of War, this is your game.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's super fun.
Yeah, it's really, really fun.
I don't want anybody to think I'm crapping on it. I just can't help but see all this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's super obvious that it's a clone. And we know where the inspiration came from. But, it is done really well. It doesn't come across as cheap or like it just doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It is really good, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's fun.
So also this week, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Violet. And, that game is really rough around the edges.
Perhaps a little less polished.
It looks so bad. It just looks so bad. And the frame rate on things is so bad. And, you'll clip through the environment or like the camera clips through the environment all the time. But that being said, it feels really fresh as a person who's played a lot of Pokemon since they were a kid. It's actually fun. It's like actually a fun Pokemon game.
So, on the Nintendo podcast, which I like, I know you're not a huge fan of it, but Wood and Bob.
I can't listen to other podcasts, only our podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, Nintendo podcast is good, so go listen to it. They talked a lot about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet recently, and they were talking about the camera. And Wood said he's just been going around seeing how many things he can like see inside of with the camera.
Yeah,
which is pretty funny. But somebody on there, I think it might have been Scooter, mentioned there's like a streamer or somebody else who found a glitch to drop through the floor, and there's like some underground water or something somehow like under the environment, and he used that to like traverse the map, and he like speed ran the game or something like that, like some super janky stuff.
There are like sections of the map that are like semi-closed off at the beginning of the game, and you're not supposed to be. I don't think you're supposed to be able to get around them. I figured out a way around them anyway. I just figured out that I could jump over this thing and make it. No. So I don't know.
Oh, you didn't have to buy Game Shark.
I don't know. It's like the game is not polished in those ways. I will say, but it is fun that. It kind of gives you more freedom to play Pokemon in the way that you want to play it. And, just small little things like not having to go on a set prescribed path. Like all other Pokemon games are very linear in terms of like how you travel through it. This, you can go wherever you like. You know, you can find Pokemon that are higher level or lower level based on what area you want to go to. You can choose to interact in trainer battles or catch Pokemon, or you can auto battle. There's like so many options that just make it feel, I don't know, it's just fresh.
I kind of wish I just bought it at launch, because now I can't buy it.
I know.
But I want to play it.
You just on principle, you can't buy it.
I really do want to play it. Like we talked about, I'll probably just borrow yours and just see what it's like. But I'm so interested in it, and it just makes me so sad that I don't feel like it deserves my money.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I really do get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, Catherine and I started playing Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which has been it's a single player game. We're trading the controller back and forth. That's been funny because Catherine, like most multiplayer games or games that we play together, they're not like, one, they're not shooters, and two, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy has some areas where you're having to drive around in a car, and she is not good at that. So that's been funny to see, but it's good for her to practice and learn to play those kinds of things.
Heck yeah. Go Tom Holland.
Yeah. I also finished playing Dark Pictures, The Devil in Me. I made a review on that. Very disappointed in that game, unfortunately. Not that it wasn't okay, but I don't even know that it was okay.
Yeah.
We also finished playing Little Big Planet 2, which we loved. And I played some Sea of Thieves this week. And I think we did play Fortnite like 1 week ago, but it's been a while since I played Fortnite.
Yeah. I played it a couple times off stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just won't even talk about Fortnite. It's great. Play it. New season's great.
But what else you been playing?
Evil West, we've already talked ad nauseum about.
Yeah.
I'm playing a Yacht Club's game that I've had in my backlog for a hot minute, called Cyber Shadow. It's like a Ninja Gaiden inspired, like retro action platformer kind of thing. It seems like it's really well done. I'm I don't know, maybe a third of the way through it. It's very fun. I'm playing that on Switch. I also played Arcade Paradise, which is a game that had been sitting in my backlog for a while too, that I thought I was going to love. And I kind of did at first. And I played it for like 6 hours over like 2 days, which is quite a bit for me. And then I realized that it just gets kind of repetitive and stale pretty quickly. So I don't think I'm going to be coming back to that one. But it was fun. If you don't know anything about it, you own a laundromat. And you run this laundromat to fund a backroom arcade. And then you can play all the arcade machines, and you expand it, and it's full of 90s nostalgia. Like, the carpet in the arcade is the carpet from every 90s arcade. And that was fun. But I kind of got tired of having to play a mini game every time I took out the trash and pulled gum off the wall, and it just kind of got old. There's a mini game to unclog the toilet. That is hilarious. It gives the toilet a health bar, and you like have to rotate the plunger till you find the sweet spot, and then you just like... you plunge repeatedly. And
just like real life.
Yeah, it drops its health bar, and then it's like, enemy defeated. It's pretty funny, but I don't think I'm going to play that
definitely feel
anymore.
like an enemy's been defeated if I ever have to plunge the toilet. So
Back to the shadows.
Back to the shadows for you. Now that we're at the end of the podcast, I want to shout out Landon Stallings, because Landon Stallings was in the 3 for Dale Club last week. The only member of the 3 for Dale Club last week.
Yeah.
But we
Heck
appreciate
yeah,
you, Landon. So if you don't know about the 3 for Dale Club, at the end of the podcast, we shout out people who make it to the end. And the way you let us know you made it to the end is by putting in a comment, 3 for Dale.
Yes.
If you do that, we know you made it to the end of the podcast. You're a super fan, and we want to appreciate you and recognize you by shouting you out at the end of the next podcast.
Yeah. Thank you, Landon.
So,
you're the man.
Yep. Thank you, Landon. Well, until next time, guys, I'm Randy.
And that makes me Daniel.
And this has been Gaming Gig.
Peace out.